We're the Budos Band. Welcome to the Blues Kitchen.
The Budos Band have just released their new LP, simply entitled Budos V. After playing together for 20 years, the band are more vital than ever, and we got caught up in 3 days of Budos mayhem when the band arrived in London for their tour dates this spring. In between frequent visits to London pubs and bars, we managed to find some time to discuss their new record, and the band recorded a fuzz-fueled version of the Yardbirds' classic Heart Full of Soul. And while you're watching, like this video and subscribe to the channel for regular episodes of the Blues Kitchen Presents. To the Budos Band, welcome to the Blues Kitchen. Well, you know what? I say welcome to the Blues Kitchen. We were in Blues Kitchen last night and you kind of drunk the bar dry already. So welcome to Blues Kitchen TV, but how are you guys feeling today?
Great, yeah, fantastic.
Great. So we've been sat in on session. It's really nice to actually spend a bit of time with a band, because normally when bands come in, it's like in and out. They come in, we hang, we do an interview, we do a session, then everyone's off to a show. But you guys have been in town for a couple of days. And what's really noticeable about you lot is that you're such a gang, you know. And am I right in thinking you've known each other since you were like basically teenagers and like been hanging out for a long time? You know, kind of the Budos predates a lot of the other music that you guys have been involved with.
Yeah. So friends, I'd say mid-90s was when we became friends. So the 95, 96, around there, maybe even 94. And then the Budos as a band didn't really get started and become a band until 2003,
I think.
Yeah, 2 or 3. So so we've known each other for years before that. And now, you know, here we are 2019. So you got all that almost 25 years of friendship.
But now stronger than ever with Budos V, which is an absolute killer record from top to bottom.
Thank you.
So the first 3 records, I almost felt like a bit of a set in a way. It's like the kind of Afro-funk and etho-jazz kind of influence in there. And then Burnt Offering, the record before this, kind of like the Black Sabbath and kind of like rock and roll influences kind of blend in as well. And this kind of sounds like it's somewhere between the two. I was wondering if that's why maybe you've gone from back to 5. You skipped 4 and went back to Budos V.
You're right, man. The first 3, we were kind of just like, you know, we were finding ourselves as a band. You know, like we started off with like heavy Afrobeat influence, and then we moved to like, you know, the Ethiopian jazz influence on the second record. And the third one, by the time we recorded the third one, we were actually into heavier stuff. But the third album kind of doesn't really showcase what we were really like. The way we played those songs live when we toured during the third album was closer to Burnt Offering, where it was like distorted, it was heavy, it was fuzzy.
Yeah.
But those songs just didn't translate like that on that album. They actually sound more like the first and second records. But by the time we did Burnt Offering, there was, you know, how many years in between?
4, I think, or something.
And like, so that's when in that 4-year span, you know, we were just kind of just getting deeper and deeper into 70s rock and deeper into like just heavier sounds.
So let's talk about some of those 70s rock influences that are creeping up. We're talking like Sabbath and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Sabbath would be the obvious.
Sabbath's always been an influence. I mean, we kind of, you know what's great? It's like the internet opens up all these, you know, doors and avenues to find stuff that you would never see 20, 30 years ago, you know?
Yeah, and you know what, as like a music fan, like, you can't complain about the state of the music industry. Like, this is the best time ever. Listen to whatever you want, whenever you want.
And
like,
people can just do it.
How cool is that? It's amazing.
Right, and anybody could just do it. It's not like you need like sort of the luck and the sun to shine on you and the rainbows to come. Like anybody could start a band and make music, and it's getting easier and easier to sort of get it out to the masses. So I mean, so I don't know. The first one of these blogs that I encountered that had all the '70s stuff was
Cosmic Hearse,
which was a guy out of SF. This guy. His name was the same as the Fables, Aesop. So he put together this blog. It was great, and his writing about all the records was phenomenal. And he's hysterical. It's still there. Like it's still. I don't think he updates it anymore. But Cosmic Hearse Blogspot was hysterical.
It's funny. So we could actually consider him like an influence.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he just introduced us to so many. Like just, you know, these fringe sort of obscure 70s rock bands, because, you know, everyone knows Sabbath and all the big the titans of the 70s rock scene. Cool. But there's like all hundreds of these little bands,
Like
that,
college bands.
Exactly.
That
They
put
put out a record, or like just like bad things just happen between the record coming out and
yeah, whatever the case.
Yeah.
But there's great music out there, and like that dude definitely like, digging through his stuff, and like we would just get in the van with these burnt up CDs of like 20 songs, throw them on, and we're just listening to them, and like we were just getting into that stuff. So when we played music, it was like we were influenced by all these sort of obscure 70s rock bands.
And they're great,
Yeah.
There's like Wildfire out of Texas is great, Dust out of New York. There's all these bands that nobody ever, well, not saying nobody, but no many people know about.
But this
but
is
they're
like,
they're fantastic, And
Yeah.
I mean, they put out one record or 45, and like
Yeah.
and even just finding it on the internet is you got to be Sherlock Holmes to find some of this
I
stuff.
suppose it's a little bit like the 70s version maybe of the Lenny Kaye Nuggets compilation from the 60s, where
Right.
it's like all these bands that kind of had, they did put albums out, but basically had like one tune, it was
Right,
like a radio
right,
hit or
one big
something.
song, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you guys can do me a compilation. It sounds like I need to get into the 70s
Oh, man,
version
this
of
guy's
Nuggets.
got
I do. I
tons
stay
of
up
it.
till wee hours in the morning, just like finding stuff, and it's like a rabbit hole. You go.
We need to
down.
become like email, like internet, the equivalent of a modern day pen pal. That's what
Sure,
you could
I
start
will,
sending
I
us
will.
music.
It's the captive audience in the band, I'm in the van. So we're in the van for X amount of hours. This dude just throws
Like here,
on,
just put this mix on.
and
or
then we just sit
something.
there and get bombed with this stuff. And then when we pick up our instruments, it's like, guess what? Like,
Yeah.
it just starts coming out, So that's definitely what happened with Burn Offering, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
and also, that was the first record where we did the whole thing by ourselves.
Oh, really?
Soup to nuts. Like, we recorded
Yeah.
the whole thing, we mixed the whole
The album
thing.
before this, Burn Offering.
Burn Offering, yeah, was the first,
For
which is
Burn
why
Offering.
it sounds so much, it sounds different than the first three, because
Yeah.
the first three Daptone records had a pretty, I mean, they didn't restrict us too much, but there would be things that, oh no, we got to change that song title. Oh no, we got to move this, whatever. They had more control. And by the fourth record, Daptone Records was sort of like, guys had moved, and the label was just loosened up a bit. So they were like, you guys do your thing. We trust you. You did AF3 records in. Go crazy. And that's kind of what Burn Offering was us like, from everything, like the font on the record, the cover, the names,
lot.
everything was just
Had a bit
us.
of a Lord of the Rings vibe going on.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
the stuff we love. You know what I mean?
I interviewed Gabe, obviously founder of Daptone, the Blues Kitchen podcast a couple of years ago. And he was saying, you probably know this, but we've got Sharon and Charles that make soul music, and we've got Auntie Ballas that make Afrobeat music. And then we've got the Budos Band, and they make music to scare small children. And I was like, that is it. That's the best description ever.
I mean, it's what we love. It's like we want to play heavy, aggressive. I mean, it's not metal by any stretch. It's not metal,
at all.
but it's heavy. It can be aggressive, and it's just hard hitting music, and we enjoy. For me as a drummer, when I'm back there, I want to play the damn drums. You know what I mean? And I don't want to sit there just like doing. You know what I mean? I want to play, and nothing against drummers that do that.
But everything against
But
it.
like we want to just
Right, like finesse is out the window. Just like
we enjoy ourselves. We
Full
enjoy our
throttle
company. We
from the
party when
get-go.
we're together. If you give us a couple of hours together, we're gonna have some drinks and we're gonna get behind our instruments. And here it comes. I mean, we don't really have a.
Well, we're going to be hanging out. This is day 2 of 3 days hanging out with you guys, and I've had
Yes.
like 2 of my 3 days of Budos mayhem, as you call it already.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
seeing what day 3 brings.
Well, yesterday we only had a few hours of sleep because of the flights. So today
today will be
we're gonna be going.
Good time. So I want to ask you, like, if we could maybe dig into this a little bit. I suppose it applies to all your other records as well. Obviously, you're an instrumental band, right? So a lot of the times in a conventional band, when you've got a lyricist or a songwriter, someone that's writing the melodies, they might come in with an acoustic guitar. It might be a songwriting partnership or something like that. But how the hell do you get a song off the ground? Do you start with a guitar riff? Do you start with a horn part? Like, how did if this is a secret, don't go in. But I'm just
It's not
really
a
curious
secret.
to know how you form your tune.
Well, this record is kind of weird compared to our other records. So the other records.
people would have ideas and come in with ideas, I mean, a lot of the time, Tommy or Pan will have a riff,
Yeah.
Brian will set it up with a drum beat, and then like everything kind of falls into place. The idea is to just make everything complementary, So
Yeah.
nothing gets things get built around a certain part, but then they're like, because that every part strengthens every other part, it becomes this unifying thing. But he's right, like the new record, it was difficult because like people moved to California, whatnot, so I think you want to explain. Well, like,
It was all rhythm track first, this record.
those guys
the
went
horns
in.
were added afterwards.
Yeah,
so
those
this is a
guys
weird,
were-
this is a
Okay.
weird one for us, actually a departure, because it would be Tom guitar, Dan bass, Mike keyboard, and myself on the drums, the four of us, and we would go in, and we would just kind of, I mean, we'd be at Tommy's studio, so it's not like we're paying hourly, you know what I mean? We could take the time to work stuff out, and we would just, you know, dudes would come up with little whatever riffs and licks, and you know, we'd start playing around, and we would just create like a verse chorus kind of structure, but there'd be no horns, which for me as a drummer was weird because I like to cue horns in rolls and crashes, no horns. So it's just like kind of playing these kind of riffs, you know, just an instrumental rock band really. And then whenever the horns could get together.
When Jared could get in and when we could get Dave, you know, like a couple of days a day, we just went in for like 24 hours, wrote all the songs. I think it was like 2 separate times. So we wrote like half the parts of the horns and recorded them. And that was like that. And then we did one
We'd
more
give
of
them
those.
4 or 5 tracks.
And it was just like, if nothing's working, but it's funny, like nothing got forced to work. It was very organic, you know. So like this kind of sounds, I hear this, okay, let's go with this. And it was like sort of mutual collaboration. It was very nice.
Well, you guys have absolutely knocked it out of the park. with
Thanks.
Budos
Thank
V.
you.
It's
Thanks so
killer.
much.
So we always ask our guests to do a cover. And I've said this many times in interviews before, and I'm finding myself saying it again, but when we have British bands in, they play American tunes.
Yeah.
When we have American bands come in like yourselves, they pick British tunes.
Yeah.
And you did Heart Full of Soul, instrumented of course, by the Yardbirds. As far as I understand, the idea came up yesterday. You're listening to it on your phones or something through the speaker in the pub on the way here.
Well, Tommy actually was the one who suggested it.
Yeah.
But he did
No,
suggest
it was me.
But he
was you?
suggested it
That was
because he
I mean,
wants to
he
play
said,
the guitar part,
Tony was
right?
kind of like, yeah, he said the same thing you said. He was like, like we're gonna do an American blues song. Why don't we do a British band like doing an American blues song? So that got tossed around. And then like I remember I played Heart Full of Soul like as a horn player with a rock band in New York. I was like, oh, let's just do that. And Tommy was like, yes, that'll probably work. And it does. It's like, maybe we made it work or whatever, but it kind of works with horns, you know, and like you don't want to overthink it. And like Brian was saying, you know, it's kind of cool to do a British band doing sort of blues and rock, you know.
Totally, yeah. And you know what, like, being a purist, like, I've kind of gone back to a lot of this stuff recently because of a mutual friend of ours, Little Barry, you know, and he really got me listening to all the Fleetwood Mac stuff again, you know, from that time.
Oh, I love
and
that
it's
stuff.
like, it kind of over the years has kind of become, I don't want to say like a dirty word, but like Eric Clapton, you know, he goes from Cream into picking up Fender Stratocasters and Layla and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, if you're a purist, like, oh, well, I can't listen to that. Or, you know, it's like, you've got to be listening to Charlie Patton or Robert Johnson, or you've got to be listening to Skip James or Magic Sam, or, you know, those kind of things. But those British blues guys, they had it down, man. Like, they could play. They could seriously play. I just think, actually, some of the time it was the recording techniques that they were using that weren't quite as good. And I think that was a difference between the sound. Not necessarily the playing, like, because where it was recorded, I think. But the Yardbirds are an interesting one because they were like the incubator for the whole of that.
That song in particular is interesting how it's structured and stuff, and it's almost like this weird, like that lick at the beginning, right? It's kind of like...
It's quick for
But
us.
it's a psychedelic tune as well.
Yeah.
It's quick for us. Like tempo wise, it's pretty up, and then like the way, like the changes are fast for us. Like our songs, we kind of stretch. It's still verse chorus, but there's a lot more room in between.
Yeah.
That one's got like, it's like verse chorus,
Like
chorus,
2 minutes.
verse.
And the
20
verses are
seconds.
getting shorter and
Like we're
shorter
just
and
chopping
shorter.
through the thing, so it was cool to play. I mean, I thought like we kind of put our own stamp on it for sure, but like
Sure you did.
definitely something new for us, like to kind of, because we very rarely will we like work out a cover song, you know. I mean, we have a couple in the set, but like to do what we did here, like just like kind of sit down and be like, all right, here's this, like. That's,
Well, you know what was most impressive actually is the fact that I don't think you'd even played it. You came in like 5 beers down, and within like a rehearsal and a half of the tune, done, boom, ready to go. It's amazing. Testament to you guys as players, man. You smashed it out of the park.
Oh,
Thanks,
man.
man.
It's
Thanks.
nice to not overthink things, I guess.
Sure, man. And I reckon on that note, it's probably time for some music, if that's cool.
Sure.
If you'd be good enough to introduce your performance.
Sure. Hey, we're the Budos Band, and here's our version of Yardbird's Heart Full of Soul.
Subscribe to the Blues Kitchen for live performances and interviews with the hottest blues, soul, country and roots musicians in the world today.